So this is near Akapanepashi, and I have some appointments near Hibiya, so I'm gonna walk there. So Tokyo is such a interesting city to live in. I think there was a saying. I think it was Joshimada Show, who said, "When you're tired of London, you're tired of life." I think you can say the same thing about Tokyo. When you are tired of Tokyo, you are tired of life. It's such a city full of excitement. Yes, that's a Tokyo Tower. So before the Tokyo Sky Tree was built, it was the tallest artificial structure in Tokyo, I think. It was originally built for a transmission of terrestrial TV waves, and I think it's still used for that purpose. So this is a park. I think this used to be the premises of a large temple, and Shiba Zojoji, I think, and was it? I'm very bad with proper names, and but now it's a park, and people do enjoy coming here. There's also a huge hotel, Prince Hotel, I think, and if I'm not mistaken, this should be the Prince Hotel. And this is where the wedding ceremony of a famous kabuki actor, Ebizo Ichikawa, was held, and I was there too. So I googled, this used to be the Zojoji temple premises, and actually the Zojoji temple is very closely related to the Tokugawa shogunate. So I think there are several burial places for the Tokugawa shogun families. So this used to be a really important place in the Edo era when the Tokugawa shogunate governed Japan. This is the entrance to the Prince Hotel. A really nice hotel. Yes, tennis is a very popular sport in Tokyo. And that's the exit of the Tokyo Metropolitan Speedway. I don't know what's the proper English name for that. It's called Expressway, I think. So the Tokyo Metropolitan Expressway, or Shitoko, was built just before the Tokyo Olympics in 1964. And it was quite an impressive modern architecture. And famously, Tarkovsky captured some part of it as in the introduction of his great film Solaris. It's a symbol of Japan's modernization. But now I'm in the Zojoji temple premise, now turned into a park. And here's some small mountain. Oh, it's Kaizuka. It's Maruyama Shell Mound, and this is where people used to live in the Jomon era, I think. So in Tokyo, there's such rich layers of history, and even as a Tokyo resident, I do not appreciate them all. I think these are the plum trees, I think, and when spring comes in March, I think, just before the cherry blossoms come out, I think you can really have a nice view here of the cherry blossoms. And there's this rather large tree. I love large trees. My family name Mogi means thriving trees, so probably that's one of the reasons why I love trees. This is a great tree. Oh, I see. There's a really nice picture of how it used to be in the Edo era. So whenever I come to this part of the park, I feel kind of, excited because this is where we run in the Tokyo Marathon. I, you know, participate in the Tokyo Marathon from time to time, and this is where we run. I think it's something like 20 something kilometers, and then at the near the very end, like 35 kilometers or so. So when I come here, I remember this really tough, time when you really have to push yourself to keep running, and so brings me into the zone, I think, hopefully. And this is also recognizable. And that's the Tokyo Tower. And this is where they would put a lot of temporary toilets for the runners to use. So I'm reminded me of that too. This is a really nice part of the town. And that is Zojoji Temple. So I think before modernization or major restoration, I think the whole area used to be the temple. But now some of them have been turned into park, and which is good. But you can also imagine how grand it might have been to have all these areas, the temple premises. A really nice way to get cool in summer. So now it's officially Minato City Shiba Park. So Tokyo, as a Tokyo resident, I sometimes wonder how it must have been before modernization. In a sense, Japan's modernization was great, but at the same time, it meant that all this cultural grandeur would be lost because Japanese people at the time didn't think that the traditional culture had any value, so they destroyed many things without thinking twice. So, I don't know, some people think that the modernization of Japan in the Meiji era was actually a collapse of the traditional culture. But history is like that, isn't it? I mean, it's always a process with double meaning. Progress means destruction of all things. So, but when you come to this area, you are reminded of the great old things that used to be here. So this is a great gate of the Zojoji temple. Yes. It's Sange Datsumon, and it is registered as important cultural relic, built in the 17th century, and that's the main temple building. You can still enter, I think, at this time. So this is the Zojoji temple, a really great temple, and you can see the Tokyo Tower behind it. So it's such a great contrast, isn't it? So I think probably I will stop my recording here this time. I have to hurry to Hibiya. where I meet some people, including a member of the parliament. Japan is in political turmoil right now because Prime Minister Abe resigned, and we are having a regular meeting with this member of parliament, Mr. Hayashi, Yoshimasa Hayashi from Yamaguchi Prefecture. Actually, he's from the same prefecture as Prime Minister Abe, and it's going to be a really interesting meeting, headed by the great composer. That's that was a really nice. Yeah. Yeah. I saw something fly in the sky. So anyway, to resume, the meeting is headed by the great composer Shigeaki Saegusa, and it's a really fun meeting when we discuss things. This is another Prince Hotel. So the Prince Hotel chains are really interesting because they have locations where traditionally there used to be temples and imperial family residences and so on. So the Prince Hotel chains really had a unique position in the process of Japan's modernization because they had these wonderful locations related to traditionally exclusive areas. Okay, so that's how I will probably stop recording this time. So I am in Kemogi and I'm in Tokyo. When you're tired of Tokyo, you are tired of life.